I'd like to show you some details about copying and pasting formulas or dragging formulas and how that relates to what we call cell references. So as you begin your problem-solving experience in Excel, you're going to find that there are some cells you want to treat as constants. You want to refer to the cell over and over again with lots of repeating formulas. I'm going to try to give you an example that illustrates that. So let's go ahead and get started. And so the title of this presentation is Using Relative and Absolute Cell References in Excel. It has to do with creating formulas and then copying and pasting them elsewhere in your file. Okay, so our objective is how to copy and paste or drag formulas and keep your cell references straight. So there's some more of these under construction. All of these little examples are housed in one Excel file that I call basicmath.xlsx. This particular one is example 12, relative and absolute cell references. For those of you that have a little experience in Excel, that's when you start to see dollar signs appearing in the cell names. And we'll illustrate that in a second. So remember, if you want to download and possess this basicmath.xlsx file, go to my jstoolbox.vt.domains, navigate to Toolbox, and then onto Excel Docs, select the Excel Math and Graphics topics, and then you'll fish down through there to download basic Excel functions and examples. Okay, so here is my example problem that I'm going to try to illustrate some general things, but this is a specific problem that might be common if you're working on a team, or you maybe even working with other students in problem solving. And we're using this particular equation is little v equals RT divided by P. So it's some variables. Our assignment is to solve for little v as a function of R, which is a constant. It's a constant number. It doesn't show up on the screenshot, but it will in the example, times T, a temperature, divided by P, a pressure. And the assignment is we need to get numerical results for little v for a bunch of temperatures and pressures, and then we'll visually look at the results and maybe make some conclusions. So here's what I want to do in Excel. So how many formulas am I going to need? I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 times 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to need 20 formulas. I want to try to show you how to write one formula in this cell. Okay, it looks like it's going to be B19, and then drag or copy and paste that one formula to the other 19, and boom, you're done. Big time saver. So nobody wants to type in the same formula 20 times. This is the way to get around that in Excel. Looks like now it's time for me to go live. Trying to get better and better at this jumping around. So, okay, and now I've got to move my Zoom menu. And here is our problem. So here is our formula. Little v is equal to RT over P. Here is R. R is a constant number. It's 0.287, and it's stored in cell A12. Okay, got it. Well, let's work on this cell first. I'm going to click in cell B19, and let's start typing a formula. Equals RT over P. All right. So we're just going to click on cell A12. There's R times temperature. Well, let's pick this temperature, 250, in cell B18. Okay. Divided by P. Let's pick this one. A9, so you see how it all lines up. So our formula is A12 times B18 divided by A19. Enter. Looks pretty good. All right, there we go. We've got a number, 0.755. And if we were to do some visualization, visualize this, maybe check with a calculator. Yeah, that's right. That's correct. All right. Now, what I'd like to do is copy and paste this formula to the other cells. So one way to copy a formula is to drag a formula. So let me drag this. I'm going to grab the lower right-hand part of the cell, and I'm going to drag it, not move it, but drag. Something went wrong there. All right, we're going to have to fix that. Another way to copy and paste a formula is copy and paste. So I'm going to hit, I'm going to select cell B19, hit copy. So I've got that formula in my clipboard, and I'm going to come down here and light up these two cells and paste it. I'm going to hit paste, paste. Boy, that's not looking good either. Wow. So let's do some troubleshooting. When we drag it, let's look at this formula. Clearly, this is an error. Let's look at this cell. When we drug the, looks like B12 times C18 over B19. Wow. B12. Well, that's text. That clearly that's wrong. C18. Well, that's right. That's what we want. C18 for temperature. But look at this, B19. Now that's not right because we need A19. So clearly this is not right. We've made a mistake. All right. And so I'm going to hit this. Clearly these are wrong. Okay. Let's look at this formula. This formula. We need RT over P. We've got R, A14. No, somehow, we got the wrong cell for R. How about B20? B20, no, that's not right. B20 is, there's nothing there, okay? And A21, yeah, that's okay for pressure, A21. Yeah, that's right, that's okay. A21 is what we need, 150. We got to figure out how to fix this. So I'm going to try to show you in example how to fix this, and I'm going to try to do more formally lecture thing on the next tab once we get through the demonstration example. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is recognize that we've got to freeze cell A12. We've always got to be looking at cell A12. And so what I'm going to do is I've got to put a $ in front of the column and a $ in front of the row. What I did was I just clicked, I'm editing my formula, and I clicked that, okay? And I just typed in $ as I'm editing the formula. Let me hit enter. Okay, so let's look at our formula. It says equals $A, $12. What that says in Excel speak is, I want you to use absolute, always use cell A12. $A, $12. Always use column A, always use column 12. Got it. Okay. Now, let's try dragging and see if we have success. I'm going to drag over. And I'm going to drag down. I don't have success yet, do I? Because look at this. This is making no sense at all, is it? If I've got, there's my formula that's correct, okay? However, this one says A12 times C18. Oh, that's correct. Divided by B19. Well, here's B19. No, I needed 0.95. So that's not right. Okay, so I've got to back up. Okay, so I'm still stuck. Now let's think, what would I need to do? If I want to drag or copy this formula to the right, what would I need to do? What I'd need to do, I need to freeze my pressure column. I need to freeze that I'm always looking in column A for the pressures. Oh, okay, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put a $ in front of the A, $19. That says freeze the column. Okay, so I hit enter. I'm still good. I've got a correct answer. Okay, but do you see now that when I drag to the right, I think I'm going to be okay. That's looking good. All right, that's looking good. You can do some checking, but that's good. How about if I drag or copy and paste down? How am I going to do there? Now, I've still got some problem here because what's happened for dragging down? Okay, dragging down, I've got $A, $12. Yep, that's good. $A20, that's good. B19. No, I need to be looking at B18, the temperature. All right, so that's goofed up. I got to tell you that I went through this when I was just starting with Excel. I went through this exercise and I blundered like this over and over again. So don't be embarrassed if you do this blunder from time to time. We're satisfied. That's goofed up. I'm going to delete that. Back to my original formula. Okay, can I fix this? $A, $12. Got it. $A19. So the pressure in column A is frozen. Okay, temperature, B18. I've got to freeze my row. So I'm going to hit $. Okay, so now I'm trying. So let's see. Let's drag to the right. That's looking pretty good. Now I can drag, let's go through the, I'm going to drag this formula down there. That's looking pretty good too. All right. Let me wipe out what I just did, because now I can show you in terms of a time-saving feature. If I light up all these formulas, now that I'm satisfied that these formulas are all good, I'm going to drag all of them down. And after studying a little bit, a little head scratching, maybe working with team members, this is good. Okay, got it. So what did I do? I started with this, the formula in this top right cell, the top left cell. Okay, I discovered that I goofed up my formula. I had to start putting $signs in. I had to start freezing cell references. That's what that's called. Putting the $signs in is called freezing cell references. And did you see that there's several ways to do it? The $A, $12 absolutely freezes this constant value in A12, okay? However, this next one, this B18, $18, what that did was it froze this temperature row. You put a dollar sign in front of the row, it freezes the row. And then on the pressure side, where we needed to freeze the column, we put a $sign in front of the A column. Okay, and so you can sort of do this by experimentation. Some very smart people just immediately, they just jump right on it. That wasn't me. A lot of times I have to goof around with this formula creation to get a good template formula to do my copying and pasting. Okay. So clear as mud? I hope so. Let me try to follow up a little bit with more generic, rather than working on a specific example. Let me try to go back a little bit and work on the generics before this. So I've created another tab here. Okay. And so let's just kind of go down the page. So let's show how relative cell copy and paste does not work. And so here's I'm going to do the full cell reference. Here's our value for R in cell A3. And let's say in A7, I've typed in a simple formula equals A3. That's as simple as it's a formula equals A3. So let's do a copy and paste. So I just copied this formula, and let me try pasting it over here in all these cells. Paste. Boy, what a mess, right? So it copied the formula, but it changed the formula to B6, okay, which is 0. And then this formula is B7. Well, here's B7 right there. So it's translating that text value. That's all goofed up, isn't it? All right. I've done the same thing over here today. Here's in cell H7, I've typed in a simple formula equals A3. Let's try dragging. Let's try dragging this to the right. Still goofed up, isn't it? And dragging it down. All goofed up, not working. Okay, what I want to do is, it says demonstrate power of F4. Let me come back to let me wipe out what I just did because it's all goofed up. Okay. So come back to equals A3. Watch, so this is so cool. I learned this from a coworker. I'm going to identify that coworker at the end, but right now, to change this formula, I could go in and I could type in a dollar in editing the formula, $A, and then click in $3. Watch this. Okay, so $A3. I'm going to hit the F4 key. Whoops, I hit the wrong key. There's my simple, okay, there's my simple formula equals A3. I'm going to hit F4. Okay, I see what I'm doing wrong. Whew. Good thing I've got to click in this edit the formula cell. So I had clicked on the cell and I was trying to type F4. That wasn't working. I have to click in the formula bar to edit the formula and press F4. Look what it just did. It entered, so I'm sorry about that, but that was a good reminder. You've got to be in the edit the function mode to use to modify your formula. It just changed it to $A3. I'm going to hit F4 again. It changed it to $3. I'm going to hit F4 again. It changed it to $A3. F4 again. Changes it back to plain old A3. F4. So the learning here is when you're editing a formula and you're on a particular cell, by hitting the F4 key sequentially around and around, it toggles all of the possible relative and absolute cell possibilities for that formula. Okay, so I'm going to hit, I'm happy, I want that to be $A3. I hit enter. And now I can drag this, and I've got my same formula perfectly done. The power of F4. So, okay, there we go. So that's an example of a full cell reference, a total absolute cell reference, $A, $3. Okay. Next, so let's see. Oh, that was, I'm trying to prompt myself of what I'm doing. That was my little demo for $A, $3. What I think I demonstrated is when you start with when you just start with A3 and you simply drag that cell around, it is a relative cell reference. And so Excel just changes the formula on you by incrementing rows and columns wherever you're dragging that formula to. Maybe I didn't explain it very well. There may be other YouTube videos that might do it better. I hope that helps. Okay, let me scroll down. Let's say you want to freeze a column only, absolute column reference. Okay. And so in my example, I've clicked on A. So here is A3. Okay. And what we want, we have some application where we want to always be looking at column A, but we're going to let the row float. Okay. And so let me come over here. So I just dropped over to the middle of the screen. I've got the same example, $A3. Okay. I'm going to drag this formula to the right. And you see that I'm dragging this to the same rows, left or right, and I get the same result. What's going to happen to $A3 if I drag my formula down? I get a terrible result because this formula dragging down, we start with $A3, drag it down one row, we've got $A4. Now we've got $A5, A6. So do you see how that works? So that might be an application where we want to freeze the row only. Okay, now let's say we want to I'm sorry, I said that wrong. We want to freeze the column only. We're freezing the column. I'm not paying attention to my own work. $A3, that freezes the column. Okay, so sure enough, wow, as I review my own work, as we drag left and right, we're always looking at column A. When we copied down, by dragging. We're still preserving column A, but we're incrementing the rows. So that's all goofed up. Right? So there we go. Now, what if we want to freeze row only? Sorry about this being clunky. So freezing row only. $B, $37. Okay, so what I've done here is I've typed in the number 5 in column B, cell B37, 5. All right. So here is a simple formula equals $37. That means we're going to freeze the row. Okay. Well, let's drag it down. So as long as we don't move our column, we're golden. Okay. $B37. However, if we drag it left or right, it's going to increment the column and preserve the row. Look at that. That's all goofed up, isn't it? Okay. But and then let's drag everything over and down. It's still goofed up moving down because it's incrementing the column here. It's incrementing the column, but freezing the row. We're always looking at row 37, no matter how far down or up we drag the formula. Gosh, that was not as elegant as I had wanted, but it is what it is. So I was hoping to be more elegant. I'm sorry I was not. I hope you see the potential application and power of this, where we've got to set up in Excel a table of and calculate things where we're varying a couple of variables, but we're using the same formula throughout in a matrix of formulas. Okay, what did we learn? I hope that you picked up some tips, as clunky as they were, on how to use the $ to freeze cell references. And the purpose of that is repeating formulas over and over again. The more experience you get in Excel, the more you're going to want to create a formula once and then repeat it over and over again. This applies both to copy and paste, where you get it into your clipboard, copy, and paste a formula somewhere else, or dragging the formulas over and down. The other very powerful thing is the F4 key, and that comes with a very quick story. I was running an Excel class at our workplace one time, and there were about a dozen people that signed up to take a little training in some Excel applications, where we were learning, I was teaching folks how to get online process data. It's very cool, getting live process data, things like visually seeing in Excel pressures, temperatures, flow rates, all in a live basis in our manufacturing facility. And we were going through the class, and I was doing some examples and showing, now, see this formula we created for looking at flow rate, but now we want to drag that formula down and over. And so I was kind of lecturing about, we need the $ here, we need a $ for an absolute, because we're always looking at one single cell. So we've got to freeze that cell with $A, $7, and you got to type this in. And one of the students was John Murphy in the class, and John, Virginia Tech chemical engineering graduate from 1980, he's kind of raised his hand and said, Jay, are you familiar with using that F4 key? What? Huh? F4 key? What are you talking about? He said, well, if you edit a formula and click on the cell you're trying to put $ on, when you're editing that cell, that when you've clicked on that cell in your formula, just hit the F4 key and it toggles around to all the potential $ possibilities. My eyes popped out. I said, this is incredible. So this is an example of working with your coworkers. So thanks to John Murphy for getting me straightened out. I got to tell you that I used that F4 key probably for the last 10 years of my working, about 10 years, about the last 10 years of my working at that manufacturing facility. that was a huge time saver. So thanks to John Murphy for being brave enough to raise his hand and make a little suggestion to the instructor, me. Huge help. And that really helped me in my own Excel effectiveness. So a good example of teamwork and listening to others. And nobody knows everything about Excel. And boy, am I an example of that. And boy, did I learn a lot from John Murphy on that one day in that one class. So let's see. I hope that helps. I hope that helps you with using cell references, how to freeze cells when you're you've got a constant value, such as the example problem. Engineers, we're freezing the value for G, aren't we? 32.2 feet per second squared, or 9.8 meters per second squared. What you want to do in Excel is type out that number, 9.8, put it in a cell, and then when you refer to G, just use that absolute cell reference so you don't have to be typing in 9.8 15,000 times. I hope you get that idea. It takes practice, 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 and hope that helps.